Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the ECF Academy session on opening preparation. This is part 3 in our series, and we've got International Master Adam Hunt, who's going to be hosting today, and he's going to talk about his experiences. And I think you're going to get a chance to prepare against him. I don't think we've ever played, have we, Adam? I've never done any preparation against you.
Not that I remember.
So, yeah, over to Adam.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see, it's nice to see you, Theo, on the camera there. So hello, and to everybody else who's here, welcome. Hello, welcome to you as well. So yeah, I'm going to just talk a little bit to you about my experiences of opening preparation, which probably will differ from yours quite a bit, because the way that technology has changed over the years has meant that for you guys, you're actually quite lucky, because you have loads more information out there available to you on opponents. So I started playing international tournaments back in started preparing for opponents, I would say, probably in about 1992, when I was 11 or 12. And back in those days, you did have very basic copies of a program called ChessBase, which I know some of you will be familiar with, and I'm going to talk about a little bit in a moment. But apart from that, you really just had books to use. So you didn't have a lot of information even on your opponents and how they played or their games, or vast databases that you can access at the click of a button nowadays. But I'll hopefully talk to you a little bit about all these things. I was going to spend some time on the ChessBase program itself. Some of you will have it, some of you won't. That's fine. Some of you may wish to, at some stage in your chess careers, go and purchase a copy. I certainly would recommend it for all serious chess players who are looking to play international FIDE rated chess. But I will also show you that it's not essential, certainly not essential if you're playing national and regional tournaments, and of course online tournaments as well. So where to start? Okay, so as I say, I'll start with, oh, by the way, guys, we'll also do feel free to type in any questions that you have into the chat, if it's regarding opening repertoires, suggestions, anything that you think I can help with along the way, then please do also type those in the chat. But ChessBase is only available on Windows, but I have a Mac from one person. That's true. I also have a Mac. And you can get around that, because there's a program you can get for your Mac. Is that Ruya, called Boot Camp? And so you can actually load up ChessBase on your Mac in Boot Camp, and it basically acts as a PC. It requires you to partition the hard drive so you have a bit more space for ChessBase, but it is possible and it works pretty well. So it is possible to get around that on a Mac. Okay, so let me start with the ChessBase format. So if I'm just going to share my screen with you guys. So, okay, I'm just going to close this one down. So just out of interest, how many of you in the session today have ChessBase? Just type yes or no in the chat. About 50-50. Some do, some don't. That's fine. We've got somebody else entering the waiting room. So, okay, this has always been the traditional way that you would prepare for an opponent. So you would find, this is the ChessBase home screen, and you will always have in the ChessBase home screen, you will have what we call a reference database. Let me just also point you in the direction of something called ChessBase Reader. So for those of you who don't have a copy of ChessBase, if you were to go to the internet and you were to type in ChessBase Reader or ChessBase Lite, whichever you prefer, but ChessBase Reader is slightly more up to date, you can download yourself a free copy of ChessBase Reader 2017, which will give you access to databases. It won't allow you to build databases in quite the same way, but if you see here, if you click on this one, you're able to download a free copy. So a good little tip, a good little resource for you if you don't have a copy of ChessBase and you don't feel that you wish to purchase a copy because it's quite expensive, then ChessBase Reader is a decent starting option. You can, on ChessBase Reader, you can download PGN games, you can download databases, and you can view databases, but you can't quite build them in the same way. So it's not quite as powerful, but certainly is a good sort of stepping stone and a good starter tool. It's useful. But as I say, typically what you'll find is you'll find the so-called reference database. And for almost all serious chess players, it's a copy of mega database or a copy of big database. And that is a massive selection of games. You'll see I've also downloaded ChessBase Reader just to show you the format of that as well. You'll see this is what ChessBase Reader looks like once you've downloaded it. And you can see even that comes with a free copy of Mega Database 2015, which is rather nice. So you can have there at your disposal, I think it comes with that, unless it's just taken it for my other thing. But yeah, loads and loads of games, basically. So you get yourself a reference database, and if you were, for example, wish to prepare against Sarah, I would go here, I would click up here, one where it says players, and I would find Sarah. Well, okay,
it's smart because I used to have different.
Yeah, it's not up to date. See, I've got an old version. You can get Mega Database 2021 probably these days. I haven't downloaded it for quite a while. So Sarah used to be, just to show here, she used to be Sarah Hegarty. So here's Sarah. And what you can do in ChessBase, which is really, really good, is if you right mouse click on somebody, you can prepare against black or you can prepare against white, just like that. And it will download all the games into one place and build a board and build a file. And it will take a little while, but you can see up here. Here I've got very, very powerfully and very, very quickly. Okay, I play e4. Sarah plays c5 most of the time. She did play knight f6 a few times, but mainly she plays c5. And we can very, very quickly here whiz through some moves, and you can familiarize yourself with the things that you play, and you can very quickly and very easily start building knowledge, I suppose, like this. So that's this is very powerful in the chess space. I always have, as well as that, some sort of annotated selection of games, so I can, if I get stuck in a position and I don't know what to do, let's say we play a few more moves. I don't know, we just blundered a piece there, but it doesn't really matter. We find some position and I want to know what to do in that position. Then what I can do here is I can go to, that's the way I do it. It's probably not the quickest way, but I would go, for example, to my annotated database. I use something called Chess Publishing, which is another, it's a subscription-based site, and I can click here, up here, and I could load up the position. Whoops. I would copy the board, and it would hopefully find me some information. Look at that, downloading all those games. All those games are annotated, so if I clicked on one, it will give me lots of information about the line, just like that. So it's pretty powerful, and as I say, if you're serious about playing FIDE-rated chess, at some stage, I would certainly recommend you get hold of a copy of ChessBase. Is there any questions upon that at all?
Yes, we're a nice small group, so feel free to ask questions.
Yeah, as many questions as possible would be, the more interactive the session, the better, as far as I'm concerned. As well as that, in ChessBase, you can also, of course, just build openings files. So, for example, if I wanted just to create a board and I wanted to analyze a variation, for example, I want to learn what I want to have in my repertoire that I'm playing against the Sicilian, open Sicilian defense and the Sicilian Najdorf, for example. I can always type in these moves. If I then wanted to see what the most popular move was in the position up here, you can click on where it says reference, and that links to my mega database, and it shows what the most popular moves are in the position. And you can very quickly, again, just start building knowledge. You can start typing in stuff like the main line. This is I don't know what exactly. I can't spell, but never mind. Okay, and then if you wish to, you can obviously then just save that and save it where in whatever you want, in some database of your choosing. Loads and loads of databases that I have here. And you can call it whatever you want to call it. So you could say here, repertoire, Najdorf, for example. So that is using ChessBase. And because it's about 50-50, I'm not going to spend loads really more time on ChessBase than that. Hopefully that makes sense and gives you a little bit of information on how to use it. So again, as I say, if you go to ChessBase Reader, you can see here you can't quite do the same. You can't add databases in quite the same way, but you can certainly open databases. So for example, here I grabbed from the internet a little bit earlier the database of me. And you can see there it comes up here, and all the games, 726 games, just like that. It's pretty easy. Okay, let's move on to preparing with the internet then, because this is something that a lot of you will probably be in some ways as familiar as me. On ChessBase, can we annotate games people have already annotated, keep our own copy of it, like on Live Chess if you clone another person's study? Yes, absolutely. So if I just go back, thank you for the question. So if I was, for example, to click on a mega database game and one that's annotated, you can see here annotator shows who annotated the game. So this is rather a good one because it's annotated by Kasparov. Can't get a much better annotator than that. And the 1953 candidates, look at that. He's already written quite a lot of information in it. But if I wish to change something, let's say on this, I would just right mouse click, Adam's comments here, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then I could save that. And I could replace that mega database game if I wished. I probably wouldn't, because I haven't said anything particularly useful then, but I could save it, and I could save it anywhere I liked. And as you can see, I can just replace it there. So it's easy enough to do. Yeah, so as I say, I mean, that's how you'll find if you're playing FIDE rated players and you're playing adults, that most of them will be using ChessBase. Most of them will be, to be preparing for you. Another thing I would just like to point out to you is the use of engines. So of course, some people go, oh, you should use engines to prepare. Some people are really anti-engines. I would always, if I was preparing for somebody, have an engine running, obviously not at the same time as I'm playing a chess game, because that's cheating. But if I was, for example, looking at a very, very sharp position, then I would have an engine double checking what I'm analyzing in the background. So on ChessBase, can you watch Grandmaster games that have happened live? I joined late, so I don't really know what it is. Thank you again for the question. It's not so much designed to be watching things live. You can go to chessbase.com, which is a site where they do have some instructional videos and things like that. And there is a site called playchess.com, which is another one of the internet chess clubs. We can talk about those a little bit more if necessary, but it's not so much designed for that. But I just wanted to show, so for example, some very sharp position. Again, oh, let's take some game, doesn't really matter what. And up here you can see you can add Kibitza, and you can bring in an engine from the internet. So you can download, for example, only about a week ago, I downloaded Stockfish 14. It's easy enough to do. You load it up, as long as your computer is fast enough. You can see it starts running in the background down here. And that gives you an idea of what's going on in the position. Okay, here white is better, for example. So I would always be doing that because I like to know if I've played if I've obviously played a very, very bad move, or I'm preparing a line and there's some major flaw with it along the way. Okay, so the internet, yeah, let's move on. So some of you, as I say, will probably be as familiar with me as a lot of the tools that we have available to you. I just wanted to point out 2 or 3 which I think are useful. So the first one I wanted to show you is something called Yotta-Base. Y-O-T-T-A base, like this. I would certainly recommend if you don't already know about these things, maybe just jot down the names because it's useful. So in Yotta-Base, I came across this fairly recently. There was a chess website called ChessDB, which many of you or some of you might have been familiar with, which used to be a way of just very, very quickly finding people's games on the internet. But it seems, Sarah, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seems like that's kind of gone into liquidation, so to speak. It's not really...
I've not heard of Yotta-Base actually, so I'm interested to hear about it. But yeah,
ChessDB used to be the one that a lot of people used if they were very quickly wanting to search for some of these games online. And I think, as far as I can see, yeah, ChessDB is dead according to Theo, and I agree. That's the word I was looking for, Theo. But yeah, Yotta-Base here. So if you click on just yottabase.com, and here you can type in somebody's name. Okay, I'm going to prepare for Theo.
He's got to spell his name right. First
try. Spell his name right. And I noticed here that, for example, if I prepared against Adam Hunt, it would come up with the game and statistics of Adam, which is not very helpful. So I found that if I wanted to find the games of Adam Hunt, I would actually just prepare against Hunt, and it would give me a whole list of Hunts of which to choose. I could prepare against my mum, prepare against my little brother, probably somewhere, or I could prepare against my sister, or of course I could prepare against me. And if I click my name, it would come up with my game and my statistics, and it would come up with the last 10 games that I've played. And you can import games into Opening Tree from Light Chess. Yeah, we'll talk about Opening Tree in a minute. And so here, yeah, you can see the last 10 games I've played. But more importantly, if you kind of register, I suppose, you can here on the left-hand side, click on I'm Not a Robot, and you can just download all the games. Boom, just like that, in one PGM file. It's good, it's really good. And so you have to know how to use PGN games, of course, which is, I use ChessBase. Sarah, can you download a whole PGM file into Lichess?
Yes, yeah. I mean, what I do is I download from Lichess into ChessBase because I use ChessBase, but I think you can, and then you just make it into a study.
Yeah. So I think it's possible to download it all into Lichess if that's the format that you choose. But you see here, you download it, and there you go. And if I let me choose a different, as I say, I was actually intending to prepare against Theo.
Oh, he's been
Let's see if
playing
he's
a
got
lot
some
recently,
games.
FIDE rated games. So
Can you
let's see.
study on the app you were talking about, Yotabase? No, not as far as I am aware. It is purely, here he is, Theo, he has 125 games.
I wonder how up to date it is.
Have a look at.
Play.
It's a good question about can you study on that? I'm not entirely sure. I don't think so. I don't think I could, for example, play some other moves. No, I could just look at the games. I could look at the 10 most recent, but I can't do more powerful things than that. Don't know what that means. It's a bit scary.
That's very up to date though. You could then download it.
Very up to date. Yeah, exactly. You can see here actually these games came from the 30th of August 2021. So it's impressive the way it just quickly updates everything, for sure.
Brilliant.
So that's, I think, quite handy. As well as that, we've already talked a little bit about this thing called opening tree. So this is much more for the computer generation. For if you're wishing to prepare against somebody and you know their online handle, then openings tree is extremely useful. So for example, just to give you a tip, because you're going to have to all prepare against me at some stage. If you wish to, my handle, for example, on Lichess, which is not all that shockingly complicated, Adam_Hunt, and you wanted to prepare against me because I was playing black. So you can play like so and so. And then you can analyze the games. It loads them up, and depending on how many games you've played, it takes probably a long time for somebody like Theo or Kenneth. Probably played many thousands of games on Lichess. I haven't played quite so many. I think I've only played about 137 as black. But though, again, quite quickly now you can see what sort of things, how I would react to different openings. So against d4, okay, I've mixed things up a little bit and played various things, but in general, it might be a Sicilian. And if you want to play knight f3, you can whiz through the moves fairly quickly and see the sorts of things that I might be playing here and some of the games. So that is opening tree, and that is also a very, very decent choice. Now you can download those games, I think. Let me see, can I remember how to do that? I don't use, yes, you can export as PGN, of course. So you click that one. PGN is portable game notation, I think. It's the general standard that's used. We save that, and then if you wish to, you could bring that into Lichess, or you could bring it into ChessBase. And for example, it's set up, my ChessBase is set up so it's immediately bringing it in. If I wish to, select all the games of Adam_Hunt, bring them into a thing, I would do that. And I could do, for example, merge or selection to book. Both things work just as well. And there it goes. Look, it's all in ChessBase format. And we can do a similar sort of thing, but this is just going to have more options available to us if we've now pushed it into ChessBase. So, for example, you're able to look at the reference. You're able to look at the Kibitzer. You can always have a Kibitzer running in the background, or an engine, we call it. Or Kibitzer, it's the same thing. Somebody basically watching and helping. Pretty powerful stuff. And in that way, you can a lot of the time learn new openings in the space of a morning. I will often play things that I've not played before because I am confident enough that my opponent has only played, if I'm very, very confident that my opponent is going to go down a variation, I will get ready to play that variation. And I will be able to do so safely in the knowledge because I've got a Kibitzer running in the background that my position is reasonable. So that is linking opening tree. Just get out of that. What else to say? Well, I would also just maybe like to talk a little bit about, very briefly, about two other sites which we use. Chess Tempo is an excellent one. So Chess Tempo has a number of useful features. And both Chess Tempo and Lichess have this opening study feature, which I think is quite useful for you for developing an openings repertoire. So for example, here, if I was to click on opening training, you have to register, but it's free. And here, once you initially log in, you can start building your variations. So for example, here, I've created one which says Adam versus the Sicilian as white. And I've put in a few moves already and got as far as that. And now I want to train it. So I click on train and it does it kind of move by move. So it shows me first. And then it's down to me to remember the moves. And this is a very systematic way of learning an opening, okay, to get to the correct position. And you can save, this is all saved. And so you can start building repertoires in opening, Chess Tempo, sorry, as well. In Chess Tempo, can you watch games that have happened a long time ago and live tournaments? Very good question. Not as far as I'm aware. Chess Tempo, I believe, is more of a, you can play and you can do lots of training, but you can't necessarily watch live stuff. If you wish to use another site to do that, other than sort of the main ones I would recommend, if you want to watch real high quality, up to the minute tournaments, I would always use Chess24. Always use Chess24. It's got the best content, it's got the best commentators. If you're a premium member, you can watch lots and lots of videos on openings, on middle games, on end games. You see here what's coming up today. You have very high level tournaments. So Chess24 I would always recommend. There are other sites you can use for slightly, shall we say, lesser tournaments. There used to be a site called Chess Bomb, which was quite a good one to use. Live chess broadcast is always there. So Chess Bomb has many, as you can see, events, and you can click on one and you can watch the games of that particular tournament on there. Chess24 would be my go-to though, for sure. Live chess broadcast is also there. Okay, so of course we should talk about live chess, because live chess is what mainly we're using a lot of the time. And again, we can build opening repertoires on live chess, and that's in some ways one of the most powerful features of it. And I would generally recommend, if you wish to do that, you would use the study feature. So you go to learn, you go to study, and here there's all millions and millions of studies already there. But for example, if I wanted to create a new study, I would click on this button here. And I would recommend, if you're creating an opening repertoire for black and white, you would probably create a separate study for white and a separate study for black. So we'll call it Adam's repertoire as white. And we can then break it down later. And I don't want everybody to see my opening repertoire, thank you very much. So I'm going to make it invite only. And so the first chapter might be something like, I don't know, we could call it Sicilian Overview. And you can have this running in the background if you wish. I find it a little bit annoying, but so I could start putting things in here. So Sicilian Overview. I'm just going to play the same moves as we've already seen, just as a starting point. But we can make comments here as well. As I say, I'm not a massive expert, but Okay, so we can do things like that. We can type comments in here if we wish to. This is the knight off. And then, for example, you might say, right, okay, so you've got bishop c4. But if bishop c4 wasn't the only move, and you wish to have a look at bishop g5, you could put bishop g5 in there, or you could put bishop e3 in there. So very, very quickly, you can start building. Yeah, f3 is also a very sensible move. You can put that in there. You can start building these different variations. And then, for example, if you wish to add a new chapter, you might very specifically have 6 f3 versus the knight off. And look here, you've got this position, and you can study it in more depth like this. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So hopefully there, I know we haven't spent loads and loads of time, but hopefully that's given you a few different ideas. There's one more thing I would just like quickly to mention, if it's all right, Sarah, and that is the live study feature. So if you go to livestudy.org.
Teaching me things, I don't know this.
So go to livestudy.org. You've got these, it's a bit like that opening, sorry, about a little bit like that chess tempo training, but it's quite good. So if, let's say, for example, I wanted to learn the King's Indian defense, it's already done for me because somebody created it. So what it's going to do is it's going to start training. And actually, because I've already done the King's Indian, it's going to force me to, that wasn't a very good choice because I've done this already. Let's try a different one. So first, the arrows will show you which moves are in this study. Once you've played these moves twice, the arrows are no longer shown and you have to do it yourself. So watch. It shows me the moves.
So it's a bit like chessable then, isn't it?
A little bit like chessable, exactly right. It gets to a position. And then it makes me do it again. So, sorry,
I don't know about this. So can you make your own? Because obviously these are repertoires that people have made themselves, so they might not.
Yeah, you can create a new study there.
Obviously, I've got loads of studies on there. So if I wanted to test mine out, like in this test format, you can do that by making it a.
I think a study that you've already created.
Yeah.
You can turn into this feature. I haven't used it an awful lot because, as you can see, for example, the King's Indian is only sort of 6 or 7 moves, but it's quite a nice way of, yeah, it's free, completely free.
That's really good. That looks really good because then it's like testing. Yeah. A lot of time you can end up flicking through the moves thinking it's going in, but it's not. So you need to sort of
exactly right. So it gets you to do it twice, and then you're on your own and you have to do it yourself, basically. So hopefully there are a few little resources. Has anybody got any more questions on that? Because what we're going to do now, I'm going to give you maybe 10 minutes to prepare against me. And then you guys are going to we're going to start a simultaneous against me. And you're all going to be white. So you know that you're going to have to prepare against Adam as black. So if you're a chess-based user, you can use chess-based. If you're not a chess-based user, you can use opening tree. Or you can use maybe Yotta base as another one. And obviously, with a symbol that starts in 10 minutes, this session is only supposed to be an hour. So unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to probably to complete all the games that we play in the symbol. That's not really the point. The point is more that you're learning to prepare in the right way. Of course, in the olden days, what we all used to have and what we all used to carry around were massive, thick, chunky books, which used to contain your repertoires. And probably some of you will have opening repertoire books. And to be honest, I really like that way of doing things. So for example, if you know I play the Sicilian Najdorf and you know that you want to prepare X, Y, or Z against it, and you've got a repertoire book against the Sicilian, then that's another very easy way that you can do that. It just tends to be nowadays that most things are carried around in digital format rather than
Yeah, do you remember the days where we used to have like loads and loads of books in our bags going to international tournaments?
Yeah, you used to when you went to an international event, you would take sort of 20 chess books with you, and it would be sort of 15 kilos of weight, and it was just chess books. Does the book Modern Chess Openings help? I think by that you mean one of those books. Well, Modern Chess Openings and Nunn's Chess Openings were both books, I think, of the similar sort of format where it had absolutely everything in it and you could very quickly scan the lines. Yes, in some ways that's helpful. It's certainly not unhelpful. It just takes obviously a while to find the different variations. So anyway, I've talked enough for now. Prep time. Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna, how should we do this, Sarah? Shall we stop the stream and come back?
I'll pause the recording now. If people get ready, and maybe what's the time?
So if we try and do maybe 10 minutes prep, start similar at 10:50, is that okay?
Yeah, and then obviously the plan is for them to get a good position in the opening after.
That's all. Yeah, that's all
we're aiming for.
And I'm not going to do. I'll tell you, I'm not going to do anything particularly crazy outside my opening repertoire because that's not the point. Yeah.
Yeah, just need to find your sixth move against the knight off if you're an e4 player, and then a bit more.
Well, I don't just play the knight off, but yeah. Okay, so is everybody okay with that? And we'll set up a simul on Lichess, and you can just join that, I guess, Sarah.
Yeah, that's fine. So I'll record. I'll stop the recording now, and then we can get that set up, and then we'll come back in 10 minutes. Well, we'll be here anyway. Okay, cool. Okay, guys, we're off. Whose preparation has worked?
I'm very easy to prepare against. Most strong players have many openings that they play.
I think it's good to, know fewer openings, but know them really, really well. And then have a few.
Nobody going to play d4 against me.
I don't even know what you play against d4.
Hey,
Sophie.
Now, that one is probably not in any date. Well, it's in some databases, but
C3.
Good move, C3. Doesn't need a lot of preparation. Let's see, Theo, how up to date your database was there. So you can play E6 as well as.
We know how much David Howe likes the C3 Sicilian. Session with him earlier this year.
Ooh.
Dangerous kid is being dangerous.
It's being dangerous. Good, so got some different openings as well. It's nice to see. Okay, Dylan, I'll take your pawn. So generally in this C3 Sicilian, so to speak, which is what this opening was, it's generally considered a better idea to leave the pawn on E5 because it has quite a cramping effect on the black position. Once this pawn captures, black should be reasonably comfortable because the knight's well placed and the bishop finds a nice home on D6. So generally I would always recommend to leave that pawn where it is. Okay, so you've challenged the knight. That's a very, very sensible move. when you do that, you've just got to be aware that that pawn on c3 can become a target. So, for example, there's certain positions where I might, for example, throw in a little move queen to c7 to attack that pawn at the correct stage. I'm going to take your knight off. Yep, it's very sensible. It's all well known. Okay, don't really know much about this, but I'm just going to make some sensible move. Sanjay's move is a good way to try and play against somebody who specifically plays the Sicilian Najdorf, because he can try and trick me into a Sicilian. I wasn't sure because the prep said you don't take on d4. So you got what you expected. Who got what they were expecting? That's a good question.
Yeah, so Rakaya said she did. Gregory said he wasn't sure because the prep said you don't take on d4.
Okay. 3d3.
Kenneth got 3d3. Yeah, 3d3's a line, but I don't know whether Adam plays that because I didn't look him up.
No, I don't think probably I would have had too much on the I
mean, what strong?
I can't even remember which game Gregory's game is. It's
Baron Van Trotter, I think. We'll come to it.
One of the C3 Sicilians, I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the thing, that people should be like us. They should have their real names, and then we don't have to work out who's who.
Don't have to worry. Yeah. Yeah.
Dylan does that well.
I was going to try this tricky stuff. Also, bishop d2, so you secured your pawn. Very sensible. Yeah, you're all playing well, guys. It's good to see. No advantage for Adam in any of the games yet, unfortunately for me. Oh, but yeah, there's almost a trick there. But just got to be careful. And you see, it's got a nice bit of space. That's always what happens when you have this Mavoxy structure. Black's quite solid. That's a good move. So, for example, here, as I said before, the pawn could sometimes be loose to this little trick. You'll notice here I have some similar sort of ideas based upon this. So, for example, I could go queen c7. D4. Knight d5, very sensible choice of square. So I could snatch a pawn in this position, taking your knight and taking your pawn, but I don't like it. I don't like giving up the bishop that easily. We'll just play for a couple more, maybe for another 5 minutes or so.
Okay, yeah, if you're happy with that. We weren't planning on getting to the end of the games because obviously it's only a 1 hour session. The main point of this was to see if your preparation worked. And
Yeah, and to give you a few ideas as to ways that you can prepare. I'm sure there's many more, but as I say, chess base is the one that most people would probably be using against you if they could do. With there being a little bit of a lack of kind of chess for the last 2 years, a lot of the databases are going to be out of date.
Definitely. And I wouldn't rush out to buy chess base. It's very expensive. I'd leave it for a bit until you know that you're going to be actively playing loads of FIDE tournaments, and you need to keep your database up to date as well.
Yeah. Ooh, sacrifice your bishop. Okay. Problem that you got, Jesse, in this, well, generally speaking, I would always say if you're a player looking to improve, try and play open positions more than closed positions, and by that you exchange pawns off slightly earlier stage, because it leads to more tactical positions and sort of helps to train your tactics a little bit more, get yourself comfortable with sharp positions. There, I think, Jesse, by playing kind of closed against the Sicilian, generally that works out quite well for black a lot of the time, because it's quite well designed to deal with that. And I might take that one. And Kenneth, you've taken the pawn as well. Interesting. Okay, I've had enough. I'm going to take this guy now. This is a good system against the Sicilian. Run away. Give me a check. Maybe this is some trick that I've fallen into. Probably.
How do you think that prep went? Do you think it went quite well?
Yeah. Lots of very decent openings.
Fantastic.
That's a good move. Got me on the back foot, but I'm a pawn up. I'm just going to go backwards.
Sicilian exchange sat going on there. Rook takes knight. That's an interesting game. That's Gregory's game.
I do that. I don't know if that was a good move. Because I've only got 2 minutes left, I can freely make silly moves without having to worry about the consequences. Boom, boom, boom. Run away. Got my bishop there. Bit annoying for you. Oh. My son is home. Right, let's. What was I going to do? What was my master plan? I can't remember what my plan was. To take that one, I guess. Sorry, that's my son. He's just got home.
Well, it is time to finish anyway.
What's the plan? Are they all going to resign or agree draws? Yeah, I'm going to agree draws with all of you, as long as that doesn't affect my rating. Does it affect my ratings?
No, not for a simul. No.
Okay. Thanks, guys, for listening today. Hope you enjoyed the session. And yeah, hopefully there's some tips for you on how to prepare. If you have any questions, you can always just message me. It's fine. Come on, Theo, accept my draw.
You can all say that you drew over 9 AM this morning. Not a bad start to the day. Yeah, if it was a 2-hour session, Adam would be able to finish them, but obviously it's a short session, so unfortunately, we can't do that in this session. But we're going to have some more simuls, like proper simuls lined up where you can do preparation in advance, like slower time controls. So this was just a taster of it.
I can't auto draw all the games, can I, Sarah? I don't think there's a way of doing that.
No.
Oh, thank you, Curious Parrot. That's the way.